Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I've got some amazing Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into those Dogman encounters, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. I also started a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for urbex, cryptid hunting, and ghost hunting equipment. Now, if that's anything that you're willing to help with, that link is also in the description. And finally, if you stay tuned for after the Dogman encounters, there will be a short commercial for Q centerfire rifles done by yours truly. And with that, guys, let's get on with these Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first Dogman encounter brings us to Finland, and it's a third party telling us this. My friend's family has lived in the same spot for 300 years. The house is a big wooden house with two entrances on both ends of the house. There's an old barn and a shed in the front yard and a traditional old Finnish sauna right next to the lake. The house resides next to a lake surrounded by fields. In a distance, there's a thick spruce forest. The area is very rural with only a few tens of people living in it. Most of the forest and nature overall around the area is untouched. If it matters, my friend's family back then had a horse, cats, and apparently some chickens. She's told me that when she was young, they had many animals, like cats, chickens, goats, etc. I can assure you that they did have horses and cats back in the 90s, but I only assume they had chickens when this incident happened. As the house and the area is old, there's lots of unexplained activity in there. She also saw what she thought was a leprechaun inside her home when she was 6 years old, and that sighting lasted for many minutes. As the bodies of dead ones were stored in the shed over the winter for burial in the spring, there are ghosts and other entities there for sure. Her grandfather passed away in the front of the stairs leading to the second floor, and my friend says she's always felt uneasy around that spot, way before she was told how her grandfather had died in that spot. Because my friend has unseen and experienced things in that house and around it, she kind of brushed off this encounter as one of the odd phenomena, even though it really scared her. Even today, she's sensitive to unseen things and has a keen sense of people, being able to tell their true nature and past with only one glance. It was daytime during the summer, if I recall the season correctly. My friend and her mother were at the lake shore next to the sauna. Her mother was doing some housework there, and she was playing and helping out. Her mother asked her to fetch a bucket from the house, and she ran through the short hayfield where they used to cut hay for the horse. It's about 65 yards long, naturally formed pathway from the sauna to the house. She ran to the house's right side, where the pathway to the sauna through the field begins, but stopped at the corner of the house abruptly. She said there was a gray wolf standing in the front yard in broad daylight. It looked exactly like a classic wolf, with a hunched posture, gray fur, wolf's head, and standing on its hind legs. It didn't see my friend or make a sound, just stood there. If I recall right, my friend said that it was lighter gray in color. Naturally, she got scared. She slipped inside the house from the right side door. They have another door on the left side. She sought the bucket while hunching down, scared the dogman, or werewolf as she called it, would see her. She found the bucket and stayed in the living room, squatting under the window, too scared to go out. She waited a few minutes because she didn't want to let her mother wait for the bucket too long. She peeked out from the window to the front yard but didn't see the wolf anymore. She carefully looked out the door as well, scanning the whole yard carefully. because she was scared of the Dogman was still hiding somewhere. When she couldn't see or hear anything unusual, she took off and ran as fast as she could to her mother. She didn't tell her mother about this, as she thought her mother wouldn't believe her. Our second encounter of the day is a possible Dogman encounter, but unseen. Back in 1971, I was a senior in Friendship High School in Wolford, Texas. I rode my dirt bike behind where I lived, and it used to run alongside an old railroad track. I used to get to my friend's house that way and hang out. One night, around midnight, I stopped along the tracks to smoke a cigarette. In the still of the night, after taking a couple drags, something directly on the other side of the track growled a fierce, angry growl, something that is not native to this area. It was on the scale of a grizzly bear, and it panicked me so bad I barely had the presence of mind to kickstart my bike and get out of there. I attest that everything in this account is true. Today's third Dogman encounter. In the late 70s in Kentucky, a 17-year-old girl was on a porch swing with her 9-year-old cousin. Their brother and cousin came racing through the woods on his dirt bike. He jumps off his bike and lets it slide. He was in terror, crying and pale white and wide-eyed, with scratch marks on his legs, screaming, "It's coming to get me! It's after me!" and says we have to go inside of the house. During this time, the family raised basset hounds, and they were in their pen going crazy. At that moment, this creature appears from where the cousin had just came from. They saw the creature and were shocked and paralyzed in fear. It was standing on 2 legs, 8 feet tall, long hair, muscular physique, arms and legs, pointed ears that stuck out with a long snout like a wolf, huge black eyes. It stood in an aggressive stance and held its arms out and head up and howled and growled. Huge claws when it raised its head to hollow. The girl said it was a huge canine and she could see its huge canine teeth. The boy cousin pushed his sister and cousin into the house. The kids started to barricade the doors, grabbing kitchen knives and hiding under a bed that they could hear pounding on the outside of the walls and walking around the house. And then they heard glass break, and the dogs in the pen went quiet. Eventually they heard a horn coming up the driveway. It was the kids' aunt, and it was her cue for them to come out and help her with the groceries. She proceeded to beep, and they not coming out, she entered the house after some time of moving the barricade. The kids came out crying and telling her about their horrifying tale. The boy told how this creature was running aside his dirt bike and kept pace with him and scratched his leg and stalked him all the way back to the house. After the aunt heard what had happened, she called her husband, the local sheriff, and he came home. Ironically, he had warned the kids not to go in that part of the woods. He walked around the house looking for any damage and found a broken window with hair and blood in a clump. It was about 4 inches long, and he took it to the station. The next day, the sheriff went out into the woods with his rifle and came across some pits about 4 feet wide, 3 feet deep, with deer carcass and coyote carcass. Remember later, the female cousin felt like she was being watched while on the trails. Later in life, she went to a jeweler to have this representation made of what she saw in flesh and blood, and believes that this creature was definitely flesh and blood. It attacked her cousin and stalked him with intelligence. She warns us these creatures are real and not to be ignorant and to be careful. They can hurt and kill us. Wow, guys. 3 more amazing Dogman encounters. Now, the middle one, the ones where you don't see the creature, they get me the most. Because during my encounter, I did see the eyes, the reflection from the moonlight and the car light. But I didn't see a silhouette. I saw different heights of the eyes, 8 feet to 4 feet. And the noises they were making. That's the scariest thing for me, is not seeing what is stalking you. The first encounter, wow. You always think that Dogman and this and that are here in the United States, but Europe is a lot older than us, civilization-wise. So, of course, they're going to have older werewolf accounts. And I love how they call them werewolves there. Our rendition of a werewolf is a human that changes into the Dogman, which confuses a lot of people, because the way I look at it, a Dogman is permanently in that state. And a werewolf is a shapeshifter, much like that of a skinwalker. Oh, God, I hate skinwalkers. Anyway, and then the last encounter. There's a lot more to that story. I'll be getting that out to you here soon as well. There's also that encounter that I have coming that I'm working on still. Well, I'm not going to give you much detail into it because it's going to blow you guys away. And I will make a community post when that one will come out, and you guys are going to be shocked. And with that, guys, I bid you farewell. The honey badger. Zoologists tell us pound for pound is the most fearless and ferocious mammal to walk the earth, untamed and aggressive, a critter not to be messed with. The Dogman. Cryptozoologists said this creature is cunning, savage, and godless. Two of the most terrifying beasts meet, only one will come out alive. Q centerfire rifles gave humans a fighting chance. The honey badger. 300 blackout, original and unique. The Dogman and other cryptids will now know fear. The honey badger, the fix, and the sugar weasel. Click on the link and check out all of Q's badass firearms, accessories, and swag.